If a woman is single for a long time, like 2 years, 3 years, or more, it ain't because something's wrong with her. Most likely, more than likely, it's because she's intelligent.
Picture this. You're scrolling through TikTok and suddenly a video stops you dead in your tracks. A woman, tears streaming down her face, stares directly into the camera and asks a question that's haunting millions of women worldwide. Where have all the men gone? She talks about going to coffee shops, hitting the gym, attending social events, yet somehow she's become completely invisible to the opposite sex. The comments explode with similar stories from women everywhere, all sharing the same bewildering experience. What happened to men making the first move? Today, we're diving headfirst into one of the most explosive social phenomena of our generation, and trust me, you're not prepared for what we've uncovered. This isn't just about dating apps or modern romance. We're witnessing the complete breakdown of how men and women interact in public spaces, and the consequences are absolutely mind-blowing. Let me paint you a picture of what's actually happening in the real world right now. Walk into any gym, bookstore, or coffee shop today and observe carefully. You'll notice something that would have been unthinkable just 20 years ago. Men are operating like ghosts in these spaces. Eyes glued to their phones, headphones permanently attached, avoiding eye contact like it's radioactive. They're not being antisocial because they want to be. They're navigating what has become a social minefield, where one wrong move can detonate their entire reputation. Here's where this gets absolutely fascinating and completely ironic. For the past decade, women have been broadcasting a crystal clear message across every social media platform imaginable. The message was simple and direct. Leave us alone. Don't approach us at the gym because we're just trying to work out. Don't start conversations at grocery stores because we're just shopping. Don't interrupt us at libraries because we're studying. Don't hit on us at bars because we're just having fun with friends. The collective female voice spoke with unprecedented unity and volume. Women wanted to exist in public spaces without constant male attention and approaches.
Every woman has a right, not only to independence and security, but to live her life to the full and to express herself to the full.
They demanded respect, boundaries, and the freedom to go about their daily lives without being treated like potential romantic targets. And you know what happened? Men actually listened. They absorbed this message completely and adjusted their behavior accordingly. But now we have a massive problem that nobody anticipated. The exact same women who spent years telling men to back off are now genuinely confused and increasingly frustrated about why nobody approaches them anymore. It's like asking someone to stop texting you and then wondering why your phone never buzzes with notifications. The famous man versus bear question really crystallized this entire cultural moment perfectly. When women were asked whether they'd rather be alone in the forest with an unknown man or a wild bear, the overwhelming response was bear. Let that sink in for a moment. A 600-pound apex predator armed with razor-sharp claws and powerful jaws was deemed safer than the average human male. This wasn't just internet humor or a silly viral trend. This was a cultural diagnosis, revealing something profound and disturbing about how men are perceived in modern society. We're not just viewed as potentially problematic or annoying. Men are literally considered more dangerous than actual wild animals that could tear you apart in seconds. When that message gets amplified across millions of social media accounts and reaches every corner of the internet, it doesn't just vanish into digital space. Men heard it loud and clear, and they've internalized it completely. The consequences are playing out in real time across every aspect of modern life. Marriage rates have plummeted to historic lows that would shock previous generations. Birth rates are absolutely cratering in developed nations worldwide. Dating apps reveal a brutal mathematical reality where men swipe right on almost everyone just hoping for any chance at connection, while women only engage with the top 5 to 10% of profiles. The average guy has essentially become invisible in the modern dating marketplace. But this phenomenon extends far beyond romantic frustration. Men today are navigating a social environment where literally any interaction with a woman can potentially be misinterpreted, twisted, or weaponized against them. A casual workplace compliment could trigger an HR investigation. A friendly conversation could somehow transform into harassment allegations. The risk-to-reward ratio has become completely impossible to justify. I've collected countless stories from men who tried to be genuinely friendly and got absolutely destroyed for their efforts. Picture this scenario. A man notices a woman browsing the same book section. They start chatting about literature, sharing recommendations, having what appears to be a pleasant interaction.
Sometimes you gotta let a man who was never on your level to begin with go back to what he's used to. Because losing a man who couldn't properly love you isn't a loss.
He gathers courage to ask for her number, and suddenly her entire demeanor shifts dramatically. She accuses him of bothering her, creates a scene loud enough for the entire store to witness, then posts about the encounter on social media, painting him as another entitled creep who couldn't read obvious social cues. That story gets shared thousands of times, creating a cautionary tale that spreads through male social circles like wildfire. The message becomes clear. Don't take unnecessary risks. Keep your head down. Mind your own business. Avoid potential problems entirely. The irony here is absolutely staggering. Women fought courageously for independence and the right to exist in public spaces without constant male attention. They won that battle decisively and completely. But victory arrived with an unexpected and devastating cost: the total withdrawal of male romantic interest from public life. This has created a fascinating paradox that nobody anticipated. The same culture that labeled men as toxic for approaching women now wonders why nobody makes moves anymore. The same society that celebrated female independence is now puzzled by the loneliness epidemic affecting both genders simultaneously. The data reveals a sobering reality. We're witnessing the complete collapse of traditional courtship patterns without any replacement system emerging. Dating apps have created a brutal marketplace where only the most physically attractive men receive attention, leaving everyone else struggling desperately for scraps of connection. Meanwhile, women reaching their 30s are discovering that the pool of available quality men has shrunk dramatically. Many men have simply opted out entirely, focusing instead on careers, hobbies, personal development, and friendships rather than navigating the increasingly treacherous world of modern dating.
Stop sending girls, hey, hello, how are you? You will get ignored again. You will get left on red. You will just look like every other boring guy in her inbox.
The workplace has become particularly hazardous territory. Men report feeling like they must constantly monitor their words and actions around female colleagues. Normal workplace interactions now feel risky and complicated. Mentoring junior female employees has become a minefield. Even innocent professional compliments can be misinterpreted and twisted into something sinister. This isn't about men being bitter or resentful toward women. This is about basic risk management and self-preservation. When the potential consequences of a misunderstood interaction include social ostracism, career destruction, or worse, Many men have decided the intelligent strategy is avoiding the game completely. Those women posting tearful videos online represent something significant. They're experiencing the unintended consequences of a massive cultural shift that nobody fully anticipated or understood. Years of messaging about male toxicity and unwanted attention have succeeded beyond anyone's wildest expectations. Men have absorbed these lessons so thoroughly that they've essentially removed themselves from romantic consideration entirely. We're witnessing a massive social experiment unfolding in real time. An entire generation is desperately trying to figure out how to connect romantically in an environment where traditional approaches have been systematically discouraged, demonized, and eliminated. The old rules have been completely destroyed, but new guidelines haven't emerged to replace them. The frustration makes complete sense from both perspectives. Women naturally want to feel desired, pursued, and valued. It's a fundamental human need for validation and romantic connection. But they also want to feel safe, respected, and unbothered in public spaces. Men want to meet women and form meaningful connections, but they also want to avoid being labeled as creeps, harassers, or predators. These competing desires have created an impossible situation where absolutely nobody wins. We're living through a historic transformation in gender dynamics with no clear resolution visible on the horizon.
We don't want the man that forgives us. We really don't. We want the man that says, you had your chance, it's been a pleasure, I wish you the best. Because that's the man we respect.
The old social contract has been torn apart, but we haven't managed to write a new one yet. The women crying into their cameras aren't just mourning lost male attention. They're grieving the death of spontaneous human connection in public spaces. The men keeping their heads down aren't just avoiding rejection. They're protecting themselves in a social environment that's become increasingly hostile to their very existence and presence. This is the reality we've collectively created together, and we're all living with these consequences right now.